One of the last things I'd like to do with this set of videos here is learn how to use the log system to get a better understanding of the default lifecycle methods of our activity. We already said that there's an onCreate method here that runs when the activity is initially created. This is where we should initialize all crucial elements of our activity, such as the layout. And there are other default lifecycle methods as well, like onStart or onStop or onDestroy. And we can override each method such that our app will do what we want it to do when the user performs one of these, default actions. To get a better understanding of when these methods are called, we're going to use the logcat. Learning how to use logcat will help us in debugging our errors in the future as we encounter them. The logcat displays system messages, and it allows us to display our own messages in real time using the log class. The log class is what allows us to essentially create our messages in logcat. So you can see logcat right here, and wow, it's like just a constant stream of information. But don't worry, we can filter through this, and we'll see how in a moment. So let's just check. In our onCreate, let's use the log. So we're going to say use logcat to see when lifecycle method runs. Okay, so in order to do this, I'm going to call the log class log, and now I'm going to pass .i because we are going to, oh, and did you see how it was red initially there? Because it wasn't imported, but remember we set auto imports, we turned on auto import, so it automatically imported the log class for us here. So log, and we're going to call .i because we're going to put like an informative log. And in here, what we need are two strings. The first string is going to be our tag that we can use to filter through the log messages. You saw there was a constant stream of information, so we're going to put the word test, and then next is what we want to log. So I'm going to put in here, I'll say onCreate initiated, moving to onStart. Okay, so there we have it. There's my log. So now if I run this, let's run this and just test. So I'm running it. Again, my device is my physical device right here. It's going to build it. You can use your physical device if you have one. You can use your virtual device if you have one. It should work the same regardless here, right? So while that's running, okay, it's going to install. We're going to open it up. It's launching the activity right here. There we have it. If I open up the logcat, you can see I've got a lot of information here. I can filter through this by typing in the tag that I used. So what was our tag? Our tag was test. And so if I type test here, we see onCreate initiated, moving to onStart. And so there, our log has been sent to this logcat so we can view it. Now, what happens if I go home, right? I back out of my app and then, I don't know, maybe I click here to reopen it. Well, if you notice, it wasn't logged again. It's only logged when the app is created because it's found in the onCreate method. If I come here and I close all of my apps, all right, and now I launch this again, then the onCreate method is going to run again, and we should see that message getting logged again. So there it is, right? It just got relogged. So perfect, okay? So I think this is really nice here, and we're going to use this log system to take a closer look at some of the other default lifecycle methods. Now, I think maybe like a drawing is really going to help us understand these different lifecycle methods. So here's a nice drawing of the different lifecycle methods. As soon as we launch our icon, right? So imagine we hit the button, we launch our icon. What we run is the onCreate lifecycle method. So we said, this is called right when the app starts, right when your main activity is loaded, and it only runs once. As soon as this is done, as soon as it's done, the onStart method is called. And this is when essentially the activity becomes visible to the user. So the user can see things on the screen now. And as soon as that is done, this next lifecycle method, onResume, automatically gets called. And so this is called just before the user can start interacting with the app. And so this means essentially like the app has the focus of the device. So these three methods are sort of called one right after the other. So onCreate, onStart, and onResume. And then we sit here in onResume for a while as we use our app until onPause is called. And onPause is called when the activity loses focus. So your activity may still be visible, but it doesn't have the focus. For instance, like maybe the user taps the back button or the recents button on their phone or tablet. And so once we're here, one of two things can happen. If the user goes back to the app, onResume will be called. Or if the user puts the app in the background, onStop will be called. And so this is like, when I put the app in the background, it was still open, it was still running, but it wasn't visible to the user. So onStop is called. And here, when onStop is called, one of two things can happen. The user can reopen the app like we did, in which onRestart is called. And when onRestart is called, automatically, once that's finished, we go back to onStart. You saw we didn't go back to onCreate. We didn't have to recreate the app. We just went to onStart. And then we repeat the life cycle. Or if we're on here in onStop, we can actually close out the app, and then we run onDestroy, which is called when the activity is destroyed, and essentially the life cycle ends. So this is kind of a nice representation of these life cycle methods, right? Here we're born, and I guess here we die, and we can kind of go back and forth. Black here represents something that automatically happens, and orange is maybe representative of like it's waiting. Okay, so it's paused. So let's use logcat now to override each of the default life cycles, and we can sort of see how they work. So let's see. I'll put a comment here in our main activity. So we're going to do this in our main activity class, but outside of the onCreate. So we'll just say override all life cycle methods to learn about them. Cool. Exclamation, right? So we'll say override function. We'll do on start next. So we'll say on start. And we're going to extend it, of course. So we're going to call super.onStart. We don't want to completely get rid of this. And now we're going to put our log message. So I'm going to actually just copy my log message right here and paste it. And instead of saying onCreate, we're going to say onStart initiated, moving to onResume. So there is like our nice override. In fact, we're going to be doing this time and time again. So why don't I just copy this and paste it, and instead of overriding onStart, we're going to override onResume next. And so we're going to call super.onResume, so we can extend this. And our log here is going to say onResume initiated. And now if we check out our diagram, right, when we're in onResume, we're now going to wait for onPause. So I'm going to come back here and I'm going to say waiting for onPause. All right, waiting for onPause. Okay, so now let's override onPause. So I'm going to just paste this, and we'll say instead of onStart here, we have onPause. We want to extend onPause, so we'll say super.onPause. And then our log here is going to say onPause initiated, moving to, so let's just check. It's either moving to onStop, waiting for onStop, or waiting for onResume. So we'll say waiting for onStop or onResume. So we'll put that in there, and hopefully we'll see this as we do our logs, right, as we test this. All right, we've already got onResume, so let's do onStop. So we'll override function onStop, and we're going to extend onStop, and our log message will say onStop initiated. And so what happens here? Well, if we look with onStop, we're waiting for onDestroy or onRestart. So we'll say waiting for onDestroy or onRestart. And so now we just got to do those last two, right? So we're moving pretty quickly here with these, but it's pretty much all the same stuff, right? So we'll say onRestart, and we're going to extend. So super.onRestart, and our tag will say onRestart initiated, moving to. And so where do we go after onRestart? We are sent right to onStart, right? So as soon as onRestart's done, we go to onStart. So say moving to onStart. And then last but not least, we just have to do onDestroy. So we'll say onDestroy, and we're going to extend from super.onDestroy, and our log message here will read onDestroy initiated, and then I guess we'll just say, what do we want to say after that? The app has been killed. All right. Sad face, right? A little bit of humor. Okay, so there are all of our overrides to the default lifecycle methods. Okay, so we have the onCreate right in here, and then we've got all of our other ones. So let's run this, and let's use logcat to sort of see how we can interact and sort of, see how these lifecycle methods are called when we run our app. So let's see. This is going to upload here. Okay, it's installing. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to go to the logcat. We're filtering already for tests, so I'm going to actually just bring this up a bit. And so you can see right off the bat what's called. Well, we said it looks like onCreate is called, and it's initiated, and it's moving to onResume. I'll move this over here. Then onStart, and then onStart was initiated, moving to onResume, and onResume was initiated. And now it's just waiting, right? It's waiting for onPause. So we can do a bunch of stuff in our app. And if I don't know, do this, then it says on pause was initiated, waiting for on stop or on resume, and it looks like on stop was initially called, waiting for on destroy or on restart. So right now it's stuck in the on stop state. So the app is still going, but it's just in the background. It's not, doesn't have focus. So if I click this again, what are we going to see? Well, we should go to on restart. And so let's see, on restart was initiated, moving to on start was initiated, moving to on resume was initiated, waiting for on pause. But if you notice, the on create wasn't called there, okay? So that's pretty nice. And now let's put this in the background again. So we're waiting for on pause. I'm going to send it to on pause. All right, it was initiated, waiting for on stop or on resume, and it went to on stop. And so now we're waiting for either on destroy or on restart. Let's actually destroy it. So I'm going to close all. And oh, on destroy did not run. I wonder why on destroy didn't run. ds on destroy. Let's just try this one more time. So I'm going to launch this app again. We should see the onCreate. Good, onCreate's getting called. So right, that's the only time it should be called. And so now let's put this in the background and let's destroy it. Huh, it still didn't get called. Let's destroy it from here. Okay. So there's that, and then let's close this out. Well, I don't know why onDestroy is not getting called. I can't figure it out. It should be getting called. Maybe it got called for you. Maybe I have a silly mistake and I'm just not seeing it. But regardless, imagine that the onDestroy log was logged to the screen right here. And so I think this gives us a really good idea of how these lifecycle methods work and when they run. So see, these are some of the default methods of our activities that we can work with. So I think this sort of ends our overview, our introduction. I think we have a really solid foundation that we can build upon moving forward for the rest of our course here. So I can't wait to see you in those upcoming videos.